Civil rights icon and United States Congressman John Lewis has passed away. He died at his home in Atlanta, Georgia last night. Back in December, Lewis announced that he was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. NBC's Dan Chinnaman has more on the life and legacy of John Lewis.
We're marching today to dramatize to the nation, dramatize to the world.
From Selma to Washington, John Lewis dedicated his life to the fight for civil rights.
On one hand, we made a lot of progress, but come distance. But we're not there yet.
The son of sharecroppers, he believed nonviolent action could ignite social change.
We can change America, and in changing America, we can change the world.
I was beaten by state troopers.
Arrested dozens of times, he became one of the original freedom riders, challenging laws in the South which prohibited black and white riders from sitting together on interstate buses. The buses were often targeted by angry mobs. In 1963, he helped organize the March on Washington, when hundreds of thousands of activists gathered at the National Mall to hear one of the iconic speeches in American history. Later, Lewis worked to organize the marches from Selma to Montgomery, which included the confrontation on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, where marchers were met by Alabama state troopers. As he grew older, Lewis took his fight for social justice to Congress. One paper said he was the only major former civil rights leader to extend his fight for human rights to the halls of the Capitol.
The time for silence and patience is long gone. We're calling on the leadership of the House to bring common sense gun control legislation to the House floor. Give us a vote.
One of the leading liberals in Washington, Lewis didn't back down from a fight. In his later years, Lewis spent much of his time educating and inspiring the next generation.
And I said to all of the young people, you must get out there and push and pull and make America what America should be for all of us.
From his activism in the civil rights movement.
In 2011, President Obama, the nation's first African-American president, awarded John Lewis the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor.
And generations from now, when parents teach their children what is meant by courage, the story of John Lewis will come to mind.
That courage was tested again when Lewis learned he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He said, quote, "I've decided to do what I know to do and do what I have always done. I'm going to fight it." John Lewis, who believed equality, could not wait. Dan Chinnaman, NBC News.
And former President Barack Obama released a statement last night on the passing of John Lewis. In the statement, Obama said, quote, "He loved this country so much that he risked his life and his blood so that it might live up to its promise through the decades. He not only gave all of himself to the cause of freedom and justice, but inspired generations that followed to try to live up to his example." And Texas Senator Ted Cruz took to social media last night to honor the civil rights icon as well. He posted this group photo of himself and Lewis at the funeral of Nelson Mandela. Cruz said during the trip, Lewis would fascinate the group of lawmakers with stories about the civil rights movement and late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Cruz says he's now praying for his family and his loved ones. Another leader of the civil rights movement also shared his thoughts on the death of John Lewis. Former U.S. Ambassador Andrew Young, who was also a close confidant of Martin Luther King Jr., spoke about the lasting legacy that Lewis is leaving behind.
Going home is always good. You got to die too, so you just as well get ready and live a good life so that you're ready when your time comes. You know not the day nor the hour, and I don't think anybody has spent 80 more fruitful years on earth than John Lewis.
The family of John Lewis also releasing a statement saying, quote, "He dedicated his entire life to nonviolent activism and was an outspoken advocate in the struggle for equal justice in America. He will deeply be missed